All right, it looks like we have the first game here between Aspiring Spike and Caroline Pardee.
I liked their player photos, Gavin. They both had their avatars kind of ready to support them.
Yeah, you of course got this very cute dog. Do you know what his dog's name is?
I don't actually.
Well, I'll have to ask him later.
I'm sure some folks in chat can help us out there.
So it looks like they're resolving mulligans right now.
Yeah, Athena was what I thought it was, but I didn't want to misspeak.
I love that the dog is such a part of the stream that the entire chat right now is
Yeah, I
bringing
knew that
Athena's.
was coming.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so a lot of people will probably watch Aspiring Spike's stream more for Athena than for the gameplay.
So it looks like Spike has kept here, and he's got Gemstone Caverns in his opening hand. And if he's on the draw, okay, which he's not, I didn't know if he was on the player draw. But here we go. Turn 1 Ozolith from Aspiring Spike, kicking things off.
Now this Hardened Scales deck, it starts slow, but the action happens pretty quickly. Once you get to like turn 3, turn 4, you can. I mean, the experience of playing against Hardened Scales is you start the turn going like, all right, they're probably going to attack me for like 5, maybe like 7 or 8 damage if they have the right follow up, and then you pass the turn and you just take like 24 damage. Like it's just things happen with Hardened Scales, Arcbound Ravager, Walking Ballista that you did not expect. And especially when you see a really good player pilot Hardened Scales, it's pretty terrifying.
Now, one thing to note here, for those who are close observers, is that the Tron player is mulligan down to 4 cards. Only 4 cards in the opener here. Now, if there's any deck that can mulligan, it's Tron, right? But that definitely was not, I'm sure, how she wanted to start the game off.
Yeah, for sure. Mulligan is part of what you sign up for with Tron, but you're usually hoping to start with 5 or 6 cards and still be able to assemble the Tron. But at this point, Caroline has mulligan to 4 and kept a totally reasonable 4-card hand, but it's speculative, right? She needs to find green mana to Sylvan Scrying to actually assemble the Tron, and she has probably about 1 turn to do that. Now here you see the benefit of Aspiring Spike bringing the cards that nobody's used to playing against. Caroline points Dismember at Patchwork Automaton, but that thing's got Ward too.
Oh no, poor Dismember, brutal on the Patchwork Automaton. Yeah, a card you don't always see in these lists for Scales. And there's Ancient Stirrings for Urza's Saga, so that'll get that rolling, and a second Patchwork Automaton, allowing the first one to crack in for 2. Ooh, or 3 with the Ballista here.
Yeah, Ballista for 0, setting up possible Soul Cauldron coming in the future.
Oh, you gotta love that. Yeah, the Ballista for 0 with Soul Cauldron around is pumping out those Patchwork Automatons, and Spike knows he has to be aggressive this match. There's that 3rd land and the Oblivion Stone, so if she gets up to 5 mana, that will really help out, but is she going to have the time to do that? The answer is looking less and less like it will be yes.
Yeah, get a load of this, Gavin. What I said a moment ago where you're like, oh, Aspiring Spike, you get attacked for 5 this turn. Wait a minute. The Ozolith with a huge number of counters, an Arcbound Ravager, and an Inkmoth Nexus. What's about to happen?
Oh my gosh, we are about to get to lethal on Inkmoth Nexus. There it is. A 12-12 Inkmoth Nexus enters the red zone, and that'll close out the first game just like that. Holy moly.
Yeah, that was no joke. I mean, granted, we had pretty much like a full Goldfish game. There's no relevant interaction from Caroline's mulligan to 4. But that was just turn 4, win on the play, flying, infect, don't care what you're up to over there. And that is a really impressive start. Bodes right. Well for Everett's prospects.
Even if she had saved that Dismember, I still don't know what would have gotten her out of that one between, the Ozolith, the Ravager, all the creatures. Like that's a tough one. So the players are sideboarding here. Let's see what they're bringing on in. So we have a Haywire Mite maybe coming in for the Tron player or for the Hardened Scales player, bringing some Pithing Needles, of course, for hitting the Karn or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, I'd expect this is not the type of matchup that's going to, be revolutionized by a couple of sideboard additions. On the one side, you have a Tron Wish board, which, as you know, probably, means that you're sideboarding minimally in most matchups. And then Aspiring Spike, might bring in a couple cards here and there, but he really wants to focus on his plan A game plan and just get those really fast draws that like the one we saw in game 1.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of sideboarding, but ultimately, like, this is I'm doing my thing versus you're doing your thing, and we'll either Caroline will come on top with Tron, or we get another fast Hardened Scales draw. Hardened Scales up a game in a blisteringly fast start, killing on turn 4. Looks like we're going down to 5 cards on Caroline's side.
Okay, this one at least has the tools to deterministically assemble Tron. 2 lands, 2 expedition maps. That means you're going to get there on turn 4 no matter what. What she's missing is, number 1, a payoff card once she gets to all that mana, and then number 2, if you could find a mismatching Tron piece, to play the tower or the power plant on turn 2, then you'd be accelerated by 1 turn.
Yeah, for sure. There's a Sylvan Scrying, which was just another third way to get a land, not necessarily what you're looking for. Turn 1 Hardened Scales from Aspiring Spike, too. Going to definitely threaten to put the pressure on fast. Here's Urza Saga down for Spike, and we'll imagine we'll probably see a Ravager here. Yeah, there we go. This is, the thing about Tron. Sometimes you get those turn 3 Tron draws, and other times you have to work a little bit for it. But, keep in mind, next turn, right, she's going to play the power plant this turn. She'll play the expedition map. She will have Tron next turn. So if she rips a Karn or something, she could totally be in business, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this is the game plan with Tron, is you get your mana underneath you, and then your deck is just so full of raw power that you have a great chance over the course of a couple draw steps to find something you can use. I think one of the best cards in this matchup is just Oblivion Stone.
Mm-hmm. Which, that Ancient Stirrings could help dig for if there's a source of green mana on the horizon, which is going to be something that she'll need to find.
Yeah, great point. So that turns on Chromatic Star, Chromatic Sphere as good draws.
Here's that Ballista coming down with the Hardened Scales on 2. All right, here's the crack for the map. So we're really looking at the top of the deck now. Caroline has to find something to do with all this mana. Dismember, buy a little bit of time, maybe.
Yeah. This is one of the things about Hardened Scales, is it's very resilient to spot removal, because what usually happens is you point a removal spell at one of the Hardened Scales creatures, and they just do some shuffling around of counters, and one card goes to the graveyard, but you realize you haven't quite accomplished anything on the battlefield. And this is doubly true if you have the Ozolith out there, or some creature land, something like that. But Dismember is not nothing. I'm eager to see how Caroline chooses to use it, but it's not. It's gonna need some help. It's not gonna do it on its own.
Yeah, and that Soul Cauldron too in Spike's hand is definitely gonna be strong with the Walking Ballista as well. So even if the Ballista ends up in the graveyard, everything will essentially be a Walking Ballista. So that's some brand new Wilds of Eldraine technology. So Urza Saga happening here, gonna make a construct. And then if you're Spike, what do you think you tutor out here?
So just not sure what's best, but walking through some options, you could get Pithing Needle to protect yourself against Oblivion Stone or Karn. You could get the Ozolith to help you shift around some counters. You could get an additional Welding Jar, which similarly helps you protect against a board sweeper. Zabaz is really nice. That gives you basically double modular, which is super, super effective with Heartbound Ravager on the battlefield.
It looks like he gets a bit of the best of both worlds. He searches up Zabaz and then is able to find Pithing Needle off Ancient Stirrings to insulate himself against future threats.
All right, Gavin. Now, I'm not going to try to speculate about what's going to happen on this turn, but I can sort of see the metaphorical wheels turning for Aspiring Spike. Like, look at how much he has access to this turn. It's everything, right? It's Hardened Scales, Ravager, Ballista, Zabaz, Soul Cauldron. This is like you start the turn with a few points of power and toughness, and you can just explode out, in a very extreme fashion.
Oh wow, Pithing Needle for You Are Already Dead.
Oh no!
the meme Pithing Needle. That's how you know things are gonna go badly.
Is the Dismember gonna mess Spike up at all? Is there any way?
All right, well, I agree. I mean, I haven't done the math read because I have not played this deck enough to be able to do such math, but I'm sure this is about to get pretty gnarly.
All right, so he was going to sacrifice the Pithing Needle anyway, making it a free roll to, poke fun at the opponent there.
All right, so here comes the Dismember. Dismember's going to target the Ravager. I imagine we'll see some big sacrificing in response. Yeah, there's the sacrifice of the Zabaz. Ravager becomes a 5/5. All right, and then you just move those counters over to the Ballista, and then that hits for 9, then you remove counters, and that should be lethal.
Checks out.
Wow.
Man, Gavin, I thought we were going to have some time to kind of spectate and cheerlead, but it looks like we are going to get thrown into our match like at the snap of the fingers here.
Well, and just holy smokes, like check out this Hardened Scales deck. I mean, this deck looks so strong. Granted, it's had a couple of great draws, and unfortunately, Carolina's had to mulligan a bunch. But man, this is really humming on all cylinders here. Like you've got 2 turn 4 kills. That's pretty good stuff.